Thank you for joining us for this episode of CNTV. I'm Brad Clonch.
And I'm Quin Tran.
Several Oklahoma school districts no longer offer driver's education, making it tough for families to find a good program.
Costs can be a factor. The Chickasaw Nation has started a driver education training program at no charge to Chickasaw citizens.
We want them to be familiar with the car, be comfortable behind a car.
Jim Proctor knows not every student he teaches has ever driven a car.
There's a variety of levels of comfort and confidence. We get quite a few kids that are just scared to death and they're really worried, and more than a few of the anxiety levels are significant.
He's one of the instructors of the Chickasaw Nation's Driver's Education Program, the only tribal driving school certified by the Oklahoma Department of Public Safety. The curriculum includes 10 hours of classroom instruction, plus 6 hours of drive time training.
It's a state-authorized program with, right now, 2 instructors that care deeply about their success. We want them to learn, we want them to have fun. They have to know to signal, they have to know what a correct stop is, they have to know that there's a right way to make a left turn, and a right way to make a right turn. Especially out here in a rural area, we teach them how to drive on these rural roads where there's very little shoulder or no shoulders. Observation skills are extremely important. We teach them it's an enormous responsibility, it's an awesome responsibility. They have to know how to do these things, not only to keep them safe, but to keep other people, on the road safe.
Mostly just making sure that you are in control of the car 100% of the time.
Scott Fortner is an instructor and examiner for the program. He says the driver's ed program started in 2020 with a group of 4 students. It's now grown to offer not only driver's education instruction, the program also facilitates the driver's exam. Through the instructor, students get to do a pre-drive test just prior to the actual exam.
He's going to do all the things that's going to be required on the drive test. And so then you're going to come back, and then your drive exam that's scheduled with me, we're going to get right back in the car and we're going to go take the actual drive exam. So it's almost kind of like you're getting to see the test before you take the test. It's not in the exact area, but it gives you an opportunity to be able to do the things that you're going to have to do on the drive exam. We've seen from day one that has been huge for our participants, because when they come through, the parallel park, the hill parks, the lane changes, all the things that's required on the drive exam, they're much better prepared for. And I think the driver's ed program, number 1, but the pre-drive that we do before the drive test, 2, I think makes them a lot more prepared for the drive exam that they take with me.
Chickasaw citizens who are at least 15 years old may participate in the program, a free program for Chickasaw citizens.
One of our favorite parts is when they get their permit. We take them to DPS, and when we do all the paperwork and we pay for it, the kids are happy, they're smiling, the parents are extremely grateful and very thankful. The kids are happy, the parents are happy, and we've accomplished something that's going to make our community better.
That's one of the things that I like about our program is it provides a service, but it gives us an opportunity to serve them with this service that is going to incorporate an opportunity for them later. One of the first things on many job applications is, do you have a valid driver's license? Well, this is a barrier of going through our program that they can check that box and say, yes, I do. I do have a valid driver's license, and I've gotten it through the Chickasaw Employment Access Driver's Education Training Program.
This is such a unique program with great instruction by experienced people. Again, it's a program that does not cost Chickasaw citizens.
Contact the number on your screen to get more information and to sign up for the Driver Education Training Program. We continue our conversation with this year's Dynamic Chickasaw Woman of the Year, Tobi Young.
She gives insight on mentorship and motherhood and the importance of education.
Absolutely. I grew up and went to high school at Carl Albert High School in Midwest City, and was very interested in, kind of exploring the country and going out of state. And so I ended up at Dartmouth, which was originally a school created for Indian children. And so they had made a big effort to recruit Indian students back to the campus. But I got there in an interesting way. My father was, helping me look for where I could go. And a man he happened to have known in high school, who was Cherokee, found him out of the blue and said, "You took care of me when people picked on me in high school. I just wanted to reconnect and say thank you. By the way, I've gone on to, get a PhD. I've worked at Harvard. I have 2 sons at Dartmouth, and my dad said Dartmouth. So that's where I ended up. And then I went to Mississippi for law school, which was also interesting because this was an area in North Mississippi where the Chickasaws were, and found a judge there who used to give me Chickasaw pottery pieces that he would find on his land. So I was able to kind of research a little bit about our history and time living in that area. Education is so powerful. It opens and unlocks all of these doors for you. And so that's something that is very important to me to give back. We do a lot of literacy tutoring, my husband and I, because that's the key that unlocks the future for people. And still in my current job, our company focuses a lot on STEM and education and opportunities for those who maybe traditionally haven't had the same windows to see through to see what is possible. So I'm at a company called Cognizant Technologies, and it's a very different role for me. Most of my career has been spent in government service, so I decided to try something new out. And we are a global Fortune 200 company. I'm in the legal department. I run the regulatory affairs. I run our corporate and social responsibility. And it's a lot of fun. It's a technology company that I think, is leading the way into the future, helping people develop digital technology for companies in banking and healthcare that will make access and information easier and more widely available.
Mentors played a very deep role in you.
Absolutely. I have had some of the greatest mentors, beginning with my father, who everyone used to call the first football feminist. And he believed I could do anything and was always ready to block and tackle for me, and exposed me to actually great women who had done wonderful things to show me I could do this, to lead me along a path and ask what my dreams are. And then he'd go figure out, who he knew who could talk to me about this. Ambassador Charles Blackwell was also a mentor to me when I arrived in Washington, D.C. at 19 years old. I met him my first year there. My dad had me present myself to him, and he took me under his wing. He taught me so much. He looked out for me, and just made sure that in that big city, I was seen and continued my learning education. And along the way after that, I've had so many amazing mentors. And it's a little funny and ironic that being named the Dynamic Women, so many men have made that possible. They have some enlightened DNA, that's for sure.
Service seems to be at the core of you. Is that what you would say?
Well, I love that that's something you take away. That's thank you for that. It is. I think this world these days, we're told so much to focus on ourselves and what we want, and the immediacy of that. And I don't think that's a recipe for happiness. I think service is, by listening to what others need, by trying your best to fulfill that, by joining in for something that's bigger than the individual and part of a whole. I have found that very satisfying. And as I always say, you end up getting more out of it than you ever give.
Tobi, you are a working mother. You have a little one. What is your message to your daughter? What do you want to leave her as a legacy?
Oh, wow. Well, we probably don't have time for all of that, but she is tremendous and she is so fun. I'm teaching her about the Chickasaws. She's thrilled with the award they gave me. She just thinks that the beaded butterfly necklace is the most beautiful thing she's ever seen. What I want to leave her with is knowing who she is and where she comes from. I think that's so important to finding your road to the future. Believing in herself, working as hard as possible to get her dreams, just being there to support that for her. You can do the things you put your mind to. And I think along the way, kindness is everything. It's important to bring people along with you, no matter what you set out to trailblaze and do. Make sure you're lifting others up along with you.
That's a great message from a dynamic role model. Congratulations again to Tobi Young, the 2022 Dynamic Chickasaw Woman of the Year.
In ancient times, canoes were made of burnt-out tree trunks.
During the pandemic, the Chickasaw Nation found new ways to connect citizens to activities and resources. It's allowed for more Chickasaws to get involved, families living outside tribal boundaries, in other states, and even overseas. For instance, the virtual Chickasaw Cultural Enrichment Family Camp gets underway this month through the month of August. The virtual family camp promotes the use of Chickasaw language through immersion activities and Rosetta Stone Chickasaw. Rosetta Stone Chickasaw is free for citizens.
The Chickasaw Martial Arts Virtual Program is another example of an activity families enjoy. Matt Clark tells us how his staff had to think out of the box, demonstrate martial arts instruction online.
We found Zoom was accepted by the nation to be able to use for our different types of programming. So we endeavored into it, learned it, figured out how to work it, run it, and communicate with the citizens.
A few key points: feet shoulder width apart.
We've gotten pretty proficient with the martial arts team of knowing how to do and handle Zoom going on. We generally start out with about 15 minutes of warm-up type exercises where they're doing push-ups, sit-ups, the things that are required for them to be able to do, we have for their belt testing. And then we usually go into a basic class routine that's showing at that particular level, because we may just have white belts for their first time in there, trying to teach them how to do a block, how to do a punch, how to do a kick. And then we have a main class that comes on for the last 15 minutes that pretty much goes over their form that they're doing, sometimes their march. Just depends upon who's there, how well they're working with us across the video. And we do have other, what we call marches class, that are strictly parts of a choreographed movement that we do for their belt ranks. It is a contact sport. So yes, it's nice to be able to have them spar and try some of the different things. But rather than lose a whole group of people who have devoted years into being in the program, we gave them an opportunity, a way, and a place to be able to continue their practicing, still be able to rank up in their belts, and gave them an outlet to do. There were a lot of families that seemed to be very happy about doing martial arts at their house because they felt a little bit more confident about just them doing however the kick or punch may be. And it's hard to correct them, but we usually have all eyes on board. So there's generally 4 instructors running the Zoom part, one of them out on the floor doing direct observation of it, and then the other one's watching what the kids are doing. So, you know, we may jump in on a space bar volume and say, hey, get that kick up just a little higher. I mean, I would have never thought about doing classes this way, but it, you know, it's sad to say that it took a pandemic to figure out another way. And the remarkable part about it is it will now be able to go on even after our in-person classes come back, because this is a way to be able to reach our out-of-boundary citizens. No matter where he or she would be in the world, could jump into our class. If they have the opportunity of a smartphone, a tablet, a smart TV, or whatever, they can set it up in whichever room and space they feel best at and comfortably come in and join our classes with us, not having 30, 40 people around them, but just as an individual or as a family.
What do you want people near and far to experience through the martial arts program with the Chickasaw Nation, whether it's in person or virtually?
I would say camaraderie. You get a lot of exercise in martial arts. You get a lot of team building when you're together. Culturally, we're putting an aspect in there where people who may not be around our regular language classes get to actually use the language while doing something. It's a little different approach to the language into it, because we do all the classes in Chickasaw, and they have to learn how to do it in Chickasaw.
Inkatabliaka, Shafa, hey, Choklo, hey, Tochina, hey.
We use Chickasaw commands to be able to tell the kids to kick, hahadli, inkatabli to block, iso to punch, and it culturally brings back in the language into it so that maybe down the line they will have more of an interest in their language and decide to expand it by going through our other language programs that we have. Martial arts in its background does not have to be about fighting. It is just a concern of figuring out how to be the best person you can be, and you will find that way through practice of anything. And martial arts just gives you a format of things you have to practice. And I say anybody who can come up through our program and become a black belt can do anything in the world that they want to do.
Families are having a good time doing martial arts together. In the next episode, we connect with a Chickasaw family in New Mexico. They'll share how it's helped their family be healthier and stronger.
If you'd like more information on the Chickasaw Nation's martial arts program, call this number or send a message to the email address on your screen. A reminder for this month, July 29th is the next deadline to register for the upcoming runoff, primary, and special elections. Those elections are on August 23rd.
VoteYourValuesOK.com offers information on how to register, where to do so, and other election information.
Vote Your Values is all about getting people, one, registered to vote, and two, getting them to the ballot box. It is a nonpartisan effort. We are not endorsing candidates. We are not endorsing political parties. We're not even focusing on any particular races. It is purely for encouraging people to vote and trying to stress to them why it's so important that they make their voices heard. In Oklahoma, we have such a diversity of populations around the state. We want all those people to turn out and make sure that their voice is heard at the ballot box.
Again, visit VoteYourValuesOK.com. It's a nonpartisan resource for people to get information during the election season.
There's a lot of information on the website, step-by-step details on how to register to vote, information on absentee ballots, your county election office location, and more. Well, Quinn and I are glad you joined us for this episode of CNTV.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.